Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Smirnov, and I'm co-founder of deBridge protocol. And I'd like to get started just to provide a bit of a background about myself. I'm a blockchain developer, and I went out from the academia of Moscow State University where I was doing PhD in the area of mathematics, that I didn't defend because I was too fascinated by blockchain development. And starting from the beginning of this year, me and my team and I are working on the solution for cross-chain interoperability. And that's why today we are going to talk about the interoperability in general, and I will just share my personal thoughts on why the future is multi-chain. In fact, we already live in a multi-chain world because there are more than 100 public blockchains available. And some of these blockchains are solving like specific problems like scalability or privacy. Some of these blockchains are just forks of others with their own community. But we can assume that the number of blockchains will even increase along with the adoption of DeFi and blockchain technologies in general. And the tremendous amount of the blockchain ecosystems leads to problem of fragmentation. So all of these blockchains are evolved independently, right? And they're not interconnected with each other or interconnected through some narrow channels, which are specific for every different blockchain. And there are a few fragmentation problems here in the industry. So first of all, it's fragmentation of technology, then of liquidity, and even of the competitive environment. And this problem is not solved yet because there is no a unified standard and solution for cross-chain interoperability. And one of the interesting problems is the fragmentation of technology, because whenever we have a new blockchain ecosystem that is launched or layer 2, many teams are starting to think like what we can launch on this specific blockchain, what hasn't been launched yet. And MJ and our team raised some really good point about that many teams are thinking just about forking of some existing technologies and they're like solving the problem locally for each specific blockchain ecosystem instead of solving for the entire blockchain ecosystem. And yeah, so many teams are just like forking, and that's why we have so many forks of Uniswap, Curve, and other protocols. And fragmentation of liquidity is quite a vital problem as well. It started from the fragmentation within one specific ecosystem when liquidity was distributed between many various decentralized exchanges. But this one was actually solved by the aggregators like 1inch or Paraswap, which split the swap of assets between different liquidity pools. But what if we want to perform a cross-chain swap between like different blockchains? How is it possible to split that swap between different DEXs in different blockchains? And so far there is no solution for that, but it will be interesting to see what solutions will come up once we have a true interoperability between various blockchains. And fragmentation of competitive environment is quite interesting as well, because right now we are at the point when different projects compete with each other locally. So for example, PancakeSwap compete with Bakery, Uniswap with Sushi, or Radium with Saber. And what if user would be able to perform his swap in any of these blockchains and make a decision like which one he can use? This will lead to the situation when all these DEXs will compete within one multi-chain ecosystem. So basically, as a user, I can choose whether I want to swap my assets at Pancake or Radium simultaneously, and I will just choose the one that will provide the better rates and lower slippage, of course. And the problem of interoperability in general is not solved yet because there is no unified standard. So we have numerous blockchains and we have numerous bridges, and all of those bridges are like chain specific. And when user wants to perform transfer from one ecosystem to another, he has to do a due diligence and to check like what bridges should be used, whether the wrapped asset that he will receive in the target chain will be liquid, and if the user will be swapped that asset. Because I had many situations when user like breached asset from, let's say, Ethereum to Binance Smart Chain, and then they realized that the robbed asset they received was not liquid at all. And user experience is very different. Like for every specific blockchain, for every specific breach, user interface differs, and it makes the user experience not too good in general. And the main question is, like, when will we have the true cross-chain interoperability? And I think that bridging of assets is not enough. The most important thing is actually delivering of the arbitrary messages between blockchains. And there are three types of things that can be performed. The first one is, of course, just like pure bridging of asset. The second one is bridging of messages when, let's say, a smart contract in one blockchain can send instruction or arbitrary data to smart contract in another blockchain. And the third type is when we send liquidity, and at the same transaction we specify some instruction, like what action should be performed with this specific liquidity. So for example, I can send like Ethereum to some other blockchain, and at the same time specify a message to swap this liquidity to other chain. And yeah, that opens up a lot of interesting opportunities. But the problem is that receiver in the target blockchain also need to know who was the sender. So for example, if some lending protocol would send the command to different blockchain, then the receiving smart contract should know like whether the sender was trusted or not. And another point is triggering of transaction in the target chain. For example, I'm sending some asset, like who will claim it for me? Because sometimes users do not need the base asset of the blockchain on his wallet to execute transaction. And there can be a situation when like user transfers Ethereum to Solana in order to buy Solana, but it turns out that he needs actually Sol token already in order to claim his transaction. Yeah, that's the interesting thing, because there is a need of some keepers who will execute transactions cross-chain. And the most exciting thing is, of course, applications. So what are applications? The most obvious one is the cross-chain swap, of course, when we just can specify like blockchain from the asset that we want to swap, and we specify the blockchain where we want to receive specific asset. And then all the magic happens under the hood. Another use case would be multi-chain governance, because transactions in Ethereum, of course, are expensive, and governance voting would be expensive as well. And there is a possibility to perform like voting itself in some layer 2 solutions or other chains and settle the result in Ethereum. Cross-chain lending, I think, is really interesting application as well, because that would open up an opportunity to provide liquidity to the protocol in one blockchain, let's say Ethereum, and at the same transaction draw credit from another chain, for example, Polygon. And this credit can be repaid in, let's say, Arbitrum. And yeah, cross-chain yield farming is quite interesting as well. It would be great if, for example, we could supply liquidity into Yearn in Ethereum, and Yearn strategy would automatically rebalance liquidity between strategies in different blockchains according to the best APY. And yeah, would be interesting to see what developers will build on top of true cross-chain interoperability. And the most exciting thing, I would say, the composability of the protocol themselves, because interoperability makes protocols interpluggable in different blockchain ecosystems. One of the examples would be the stablecoin protocols, let's say in Ethereum, which can open position on perpetual markets in other blockchains, like Mango markets at Solana or Perpetual in Arbitrum, in order to maintain its peg. And protocols can integrate with more and more other protocols from different ecosystems, and that make entire like blockchain industry more unified. And of course, NFTs. NFTs are super popular. It's kind of onboarding funnel into crypto right now, and interoperability would open up many opportunities for NFTs as well. The most obvious one is bridging of NFTs between blockchains. Then the second one that comes in my mind is that you can actually sell some NFT directly from game interface. So game assets will be easily tradable. And interoperability of NFTs between different metaverses. Let's say you have CryptoPunk and you can use it somehow in a Star Atlas game as your avatar. Yeah, that's what I think about NFTs. And of course, I would like to tell you a bit about the solution we are working on with my team, which is called deBridge. So we are actually solving the interoperability dilemma. And the ultimate goal here is to interconnect various blockchains all together. And deBridge is a cross-chain liquidity, cross-chain interoperability and liquidity transfer protocol. And our global goal is to make it as a decentralized standard for passing and arbitrary data between different blockchains, then for composability of smart contracts, cross-chain swaps, and in general, it's infrastructure platform and a hooking service that allows various developers and protocols to build on top of it. And yeah, we can't wait to see what developers will build after they're integrating with the protocol, because that allows to get access to the user base from different blockchains. And users from other blockchain ecosystems can interact directly with your protocol without the need to switch the network in his wallet. And thus far, we got some really good achievements. So first of all, the project itself commenced back in April when we won the Global Chainlink Hackathon. We got the first place among more than 140 projects worldwide. We had a testnet for 5 months, first version, and now we will be soon launching the second version of the testnet with all the interoperability features that I mentioned during the presentation. And the mainnet launch itself is planned for Q4 later this year. Yeah, we also received grants from Solana and Polygon ecosystems. We have really amazing security audit partners like Halborn, Zokyo, and we finalized back in August the fundraising with really great set of exceptional investors. And yeah, looking forward to the mainnet launch when we'll open up various interoperability opportunities. And I know there are many developers and people who are passionate about crypto, and we will be glad to discuss opportunities for collaboration, of course, and to see talented developers in our team, because we believe that we work on solving of some really crucial problems for the entire DeFi ecosystems. And we are a distributed team. We have 12 people right now. Everyone works remotely all over the world. And if you're interested to work on cross-chain interoperability, just let me know and text to Telegram, because we are working with some really interesting technologies like Solana, frameworks, IPFS, OrbitDB, and many more. And if you want to have a chat with me about cross-chain or interoperability, just reach me out. Here's my Telegram and Twitter, and also Twitter of deBridge. So we're always in touch, and yeah, we'll be glad to discuss. And if you have any ideas for integrations or how cross-chain can be used or can be applied for various applications, let us know as well. Thank you for your attention.
We've got a few minutes for Q&A, so please don't hesitate to ask Alex a few questions.
Sure.
Is that your question?
Yeah, by the way, we have a booth here, and if you want to see some demo or talk about interoperability as well, just come by to our booth, and I'll be glad to chat.
Hello. Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Big fan of deBridge. We're from the Lao, so obviously fans of you guys. What kind of applications would you like to see built first on deBridge? Or put it this way, what do you think would drive user adoption the most?
In my opinion, user adoption will be from integration with other protocols and projects. And our go-to-market strategy consists of two parts. So first of all, we would like to be integrated with the projects with a big user bases, like wallets or statistics platform like Sapper or Serion, or wallets like MetaMask or Phantom, etc. And second part is integration with protocols, because we basically allow protocols to easily scale up to other blockchains. And we also allow protocols to get access to the global user base. Because, for example, if you have protocol in Ethereum, by integrating with deBridge, users from Solana will be able to interact with your protocol as well. And I think that cross-chain wave will be like, I don't know, it will be like tsunami, and I think it can be the next wave in DeFi, because many really exciting applications can be built on top of it.
Thanks, yeah, I agree with that.
All right, yeah, great presentation. You said that you are currently in testnet phase 2. Is that publicly accessible? Like, can anyone play around already with the bridge, or is that like a closed kind of testnet?
No, we had testnet version 1, and we started to migrating to version 2. It should be announced very soon, but I can show you some demo already if you come by to our booth. But I think very soon you'll be able to check it by yourself in testnets like Cohen, Binance Smart Chain, etc.
Okay, and in Q4 you are going to launch the network, and which networks are you going to support during the mainnet launch?
Yeah, good question. So we start from EVM chains, of course. The first 5 will be Ethereum, Binance Smart Chain, Heco, Polygon, and Arbitrum, with more both EVM and non-EVM chain down the road. So Solana basically will be the first non-EVM blockchain that we support. And we have a dedicated team of Rust developers in the deBridge who are working on Solana ecosystem.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and enjoy the conference.